Hi Nava, thank you for joining us. For our viewers, Nava is our most recent addition to the Justuno team. She's our director of paid media, and we're super excited to have her on board. And we'd like to talk about all things Google, privacy, and data in today's video. So Nava, do you want to give us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. And first, thank you so much for having me. I'm always delighted to share my perspective with our customers so that we can empower you all on the path to profit and victory. A little bit about me. I've been in digital marketing since 2008. I've been in PPC since 2012. I speak on the international speaking circuit. I'm the Ask the PPC for Search Engine Journal. I've been on the top 25 PPC list, but most importantly, I've had the luxury of being able to work across thousands of Google ad accounts. So the perspective that I bring to this comes from not just, yes, I'm a PPC person, but I genuinely am excited for what these changes mean and how we can evolve our marketing so that we're only helping each other and seeing better results. We're not kind of stubbing our toes off of every single change.
Hop right into our first question for you, which is, what is the recent Google cookie update and what does it mean for merchants?
Sure. So the Google cookie update is more of them just following up on the promise that they made back in 2019, which is that they are depreciating third-party data, third-party cookies. What that practically means is that in the old days, you go to a site, you'd be tagged by a cookie that would store data about you, your interests, where you've been before. It was kind of like here's your calling card. Advertisers could then market to you based off of you just visiting the site. You're going to start seeing less of that and more of two forms of advertising. One is going to be that flock or that cohort, which basically Google is going to look at you and without identifying you, look at just that calling card behavior, all of those behaviors that you demonstrated, and put you in a cohort of other similar people that advertisers will be able to target on those third-party sites. So display ads, things like that. Where it's an image on a content site where you go for the content but you get the ad. That's what you'll be put in that cohort. The other, and this is where if you're a Justuno customer, you're in great luck. Where you'll be in a great spot is that you actually can target off of customer emails or customer information where they have volunteered their information to target because you've earned their trust. They're willing to give you that information so that you can follow up with that ad. So what that effectively means is that rather than kind of creepy, weird ads following us around, we're like, oh yeah, no, I did sign up for that thing. I should go probably check out and get my product. Or yeah, I actually did still need that. Let me go actually go get the thing. So that's practically what it means. In terms of the Google cookie versus the general landscape and kind of the cookie versus say the iOS update, which I know kind of gets lumped in together, this is probably going to impact more people. And so I'm a little bit more focused on that. It is worth noting that if you are advertising on Facebook, you like the piece with Facebook is more conversion based. The bit with Google is more targeting based. So even though they are effectively coming from the same place in terms of privacy and opting into a conversation of privacy, you may hear metric like scare tactic metrics of, oh my god, my ROAS is gonna go like in the toilet and like this is gonna be the worst. We're happy to dive into any of those individual pieces, but that's effectively what's happening. Is on the Google side, the way we target is going to change. On the Facebook side, just to touch on it briefly, our ability to have conversion attribution is going to be a little bit different.
So what do you think is the biggest takeaway that merchants should keep in mind with the recent update to Google?
So the biggest one is to think about landing pages with far more weight than maybe we might have in the past. Those of you who follow my content know that I tend to rail against quality score, that it's a health indicator more than a KPI. This is probably going to be the thing that makes me kind of kowtow to, okay, yes, we have to pay attention to quality score, because landing page experience is that 33% of the overall quality score metric. And quality score does factor into your ad rank. So we're really going to need to make sure that we have a great landing page experience, not just for quality score's sake and having great PPC or pay-per-click advertising performance, but also so that when that user lands, we earn their trust, we're able to capture them, even if not on that first round, we're able to at least earn their email, we're able to, so that we can then continue the conversation later once we've had those additional exposures and we have secured their trust. Quality score, just for those of you that hear it, but are like, what is this thing? So quality score is a Google Ads and Microsoft Ads metric. Facebook has a similar one with relevancy score. And it's basically historical click-through rate. So Google makes an assessment on how good your click-through rate should be based off of historical data. Keyword to add to landing page relevance. So how well does your ad make a promise that your landing page delivers on? And then the landing page experience, how quickly does it load? Does it actually talk about the thing that you said you were going to talk about? Is it easy to convert on? Things like that. So definitely we're going to expect to see a lot more CRO or conversion rate optimization focus moving forward than maybe we might have kind of gotten away with more focus on ad account and lead quality at volume. We're now going to really have to focus on that landing page as well.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. On that note, let's hop into the second question, which is, how do you think the data landscape will look throughout 2021 and then beyond? Will these updates become more frequent? Do you anticipate bigger changes? And what do you think there?
Sure. So I have a feeling that the metrics that we see in our ad platforms for the next couple of quarters are going to fluctuate a lot, because these sort of news and headlines tend to cause panic, and so people rush to make a whole bunch of changes. I actually think, and this should hopefully give you all a lot of peace of mind, the actual bottom lines are not going to change terribly much for those that are already doing good marketing, not just good ads, good landing pages, but just good marketing. Because at the end of the day, when you do good marketing, you're thinking about the user, you're focused on targeting that right buyer persona, your message mapping appropriately, you're investing your dollars where you know they can do the most good. So you're doing good, you should not suddenly have your performance tank. Where you might see some fluctuation in the ad platform, not necessarily in your real life books, is in your target cost or in your cost per acquisition. Because if, say, conversions on the Facebook side are not being attributed, well, your cost per conversion is going to go up. It's not that it actually went up, it's just that the ones that got classified as conversions are going to go up. If you relied very heavily on, say, dynamic remarketing, which is feeding a product feed into display ads where it shows the user the exact product that they abandoned, well, you're probably going to need to evolve your tactics a little bit, because you're not going to necessarily be able to perfectly match where before that you kind of do easy remarketing. You're going to need to actually earn that email. You're going to need to then follow up with that direct message. So it's the data itself is the things that matter we will still have, but for the user and protecting that privacy piece, 100%, it's actually good that they're being protected. One of the things I actually find more scary, as it were, is how attributes get assigned to you for the cohort that Google will then match you to. And so part of the reason why I say this, what's really interesting, if you look at, say, in-market audiences, where Google makes an assessment that you are in market for a product or service, those actually underperform against, say, custom intent or even the customer email or customer match audiences. And what's fascinating about that is that when you look at in market, that's in theory what Google is telling us we're all going to, is that this is a group of people who are who have displayed attributes that we're going to say they're in market for XYZ product. So it's not that we should be scared, but we definitely want to take ownership and be a partner in controlling the message mapping. And we don't want to fully rely just on, say, those native signals. We really do want to own our data and create marketing channels, marketing initiatives that allow us to do that.
Right on. That actually goes straight into the next and last question, which is owning your own data. And yeah, so how can merchants collect, manage, and own their own data to make sure they have a proper kind of data safety net if they are especially reliant on some of those things. So they'll kind of have to take marketing matters into their own hands, right? So what are some things they can do to do that? And especially if regulations become even more stringent down the road.
So shameless plug for the Justuno way of doing things. You absolutely need to start building in lead capture into your marketing initiatives. Even if you are not a lead gen company, you want to be able to build those leads. What's interesting actually is that e-commerce tends to do a very good job of building those lead captures. I actually, ironically enough, find lead gen tends to stumble a little bit. Like either you've really truly earned that lead or you haven't. And I think one thing that will be really interesting is if we could begin doing more A/B testing around, say, shorter forms on the lead gen side, so we can capture those folks and follow up. And then again, of course, on the e-commerce side, really building in those lead captures. What's incredibly important, though, is that we're also building in friendly, easy to understand, but that don't get in the way of the overall landing page experience. Disclaimers about what information is being collected, why it's being collected. If you kind of put together a cookie cutter answer to this, this is absolutely the time to revisit it and make sure that you have 1,000% all of your boxes checked in terms of privacy, and in that you have gotten the users to opt into sharing all the things that you are going to use that email for. So say, for example, you have a user come to the page, they say, yes, I accept all cookies. Well, they're not accepting cookies anymore. They're saying, I accept XYZ permission bits of data to be shared.
Right.
You want to make sure that you've spelled out what you're going to be collecting and why. The nice things is that there are a couple of really good templates for those privacy disclaimers within Justuno. So if you are a Justuno customer, you can absolutely toggle those in, make sure that they're thematically matched to your site. And then of course, those lead capture promos. One of the big changes that is really going to be important as we're thinking about workflow, this is a little bit more technical, but it's important. Because you cannot have that cross-domain sharing, you will need to make sure that you begin consolidating your landing pages under that single domain. It's unclear as of yet whether subdomains will fall into this. I know I'm a very big proponent of using subdomains as landing pages, but one really big takeaway that I hope everyone takes from this is beginning to really reconcile down, say, vanity domains, because your ability to share that information across is going to be much harder. Not impossible. Again, if you've captured that email, you've captured that email. That's perfectly fine. But when it comes to targeting and actually collecting that data, that's really where we get into murky water.
That's interesting. So when you say that, does that mean if a brand has two websites and they collect data on one, that it's going to become more difficult to use that same data for a second website, even if it's under the same brand?
Right. So for example, say you have Justuno.com, and then you have Justuno.uk. two separate domains, in theory, like the marketing initiatives should be a little bit separate in terms of targeting, in terms of messaging, because it's just different vernacular.
Right.
But the sharing of data, like you need to make sure that it's again that first party data that you own, and you'll need to be able to verify that. So verifications, linking your Search Console data into your ad account will become that much more important. Linking your analytics will become that much more important. You really need to check all of those boxes. Where you will absolutely get into trouble is, say, if it's justuno.com and just one more popup.com, like where it's very clearly there's an issue. So if you're looking for what is my advice of what to do, either have, say for example, justuno.com / fill in the blank page that is a non-listed or no and no follow page, so that you're not impacting your SEO efforts. Or this is where it's tricky because it's not quite clear yet. Have it be a subdomain, because it's still that same domain. It's just a subdomain of it.
Okay, gotcha. That's really good to know. Thank you for sharing that. I know
It might be a little bit too technical, but it's
No,
like
yeah.
one of those, like, make that, if everyone takes that takeaway and really make sure that they understand where their traffic is going, their domain structure, and how that's equipped to be a vessel for first party data, everything else will fall into place. But that is the one place where I do see a lot of folks stubbing their toe.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this on-demand webinar with Justuno, and thank you to Nava for joining us here and giving us your expert insight into what is a very complex topic.
Thank you all.